Hey, fam. We're about to get started here in a minute. Again, today we're talking about love and what it means to be in love. Well, the difference between loving someone and actually being in love with someone is. So, I am looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say about what love is and what being in love is. So today should be an interesting topic of discussion today, because everyone has their own perception of what love is and what it means to actually be in love with someone. So I have talked to a few people, and I've gotten some insight from some other people that I've talked to, but I'm curious to see what all of the followers and everyone here that's tuning in, what they have to say about what they think or deem love to be and being in love to be. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, y'all. Are y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? Are you ready for this? Give it a few more moments and we'll get started here. I know it's Friday. Everybody's trying to go out, probably drink. But it's not going to be too long of a talk. So, for the people that are on live right now, anyone have anything they'd like to give as far as what they think love is or what being in love is? What y'all got for me as we wait for other people to chime in? What y'all got? I see y'all on here. Anybody? No? Y'all being shy today? Let's not be shy. Come on. I know you guys have something for me. Alright, so what is love and what does it mean to be in love? So, I deem it to be a force. And first I'm going to give you the definition of a force so that you can better understand where I'm going with this. So, definition of force by dictionary.com is a physical power or strength possessed by a living being. Now, if you think about that, and I'm going to repeat it again, force is a physical power or strength possessed by a living being. So I want you to think about love and think about love as being a force. And this force, which is love, is an energy. It is an energy, it is power, and it can be very intense. So when you think about this physical power or strength that can be possessed by us, right? Hey, Don, that is really what love is. And we're going to dive deeper into what love is, and just loving someone or loving people and being in love, how they differ. So keep that in your mind as love being a force, it being energy, it being power, and it being merely an intense force, right? So think about the things that we can force, right? We can force a relationship. We can force courtship. We can even stage and force seduction, which we see every day on social media. You know what I mean? Certain parts of certain streets, right? We can force a lot of things in our life. A lot of things, situations, relationships, but we cannot force love, right? Because it's bigger than all of that. It's bigger than anything that you can even imagine. It can't be bought. Love can't be stolen. And love can't be traded or sold. You can't do any of those things with love because it's merely a force. It's an intense force and energy and a power that not a single person can just merely create. So, sex, intimacy, gratification, all of those things you can actually force. But an actual force, a living force, such as love, the energy of it, the power of it, you can't force that. You can't force it. You can't force it to come. You can't force it to go. You can't force it in any way, in any aspect. And it cannot be turned on and off like a light switch. It definitely can't. It cannot be used as a reward or a punishment. Like, you can do that with sex, with breaking up with someone. You know, you can reward or punish someone in so many other ways, but you can't reward them and punish them with love. I think that's the only thing, and that's why it's so powerful and it's so intense, because it's an energy that can't be used in that way. It's like it's its own law, if you think about it. And it knows that we are connected. Like, love knows that as humans, we are connected and linked. And that's what it does. That's what it does to us, and that's what it does for us. It's compassionate. It's empathetic. And it's just intense. Like, I don't know how much more I can describe love as being intense. Hey, Lily, as intense, and the energy behind it and how powerful it is. With love, you never have to leave or never have to give ultimatums with love. And that goes back to when I said that it can't be used as a reward or punishment, because you can't give it an ultimatum. You can't say, do this, or I'm going to do that, or do this, or I'm going to do that, because you can't say that with love. You can't say, if you don't do this, or if you don't do that, that I'm not going to love you, because it doesn't work that way. You know, you can say that with, I'm not going to be with you. You can break up with a person. You can say, do this or do that, or I'm going to be upset. But you can't do that and say that with love, because it's just so powerful, and that energy and that force is so intense that it's not something that can be used as a punishment or a reward. That you just can't. That's the only thing I think that in life you cannot do that with. You can do it with sex. You can do it with a relationship. You can do it with courtship. You can do it with all of those things you can use as a punishment or reward. But you can't. You think that's funny, but you can't do that. You can't use love as a punishment or... Oh, there we go. I had some connection issues. Thank you, Tarika. Where was I? Anybody want to chime in? Feel free. I can bring you on live to chime in on the discussion. Love doesn't cause you to want to make someone promise you something. Like, you can't use love as, what's an example I can use? You have to promise me that you'll never leave me, or promise me that you'll never hurt me. You can't use love and do those things. Like, love doesn't cause you to want to do those things to someone. You know what I mean? Do this or else. If you love me, then you'll never give up on me. Or if you love me, then you'll never love anyone else. Yeah, it can't be used as a bargaining tool, like Lily just said. It isn't something that can be reserved for one person either. Like, a lot of people think that, because you love them, that you can no longer love anyone else. That's not true. If that were the case, we would never love. To be honest, we can't aim it at one person or another person. For example, think about your friends and your family and your kids. Think about how many people in your life that you truly and deeply love. So it can't be used for just one person. Like, that's not how the force works. That's not how the force of love and the energy of love works. Like, it's not made that way. It wasn't created or designed that way. Love allows room for growth. It allows room for pain, for anger, for grief. It allows them to be expressed and released. Again, it's a force. It's an energy. And for those of you just chiming in, I use the definition of force, which I got from dictionary.com, as force being a physical power or strength possessed by a living being. And that is what love is. It's a physical force. not physical force, but it is a force. It's an energy. It's a power, and it is very, very intense. And I reiterate that so that you guys can understand exactly what I'm referring to. And I also mentioned earlier, it can't be bought, stolen, traded, or sold. For those of you just chiming in, I just wanted to catch you guys up real quick on where we were and where we went from the conversation. Love is free of emotions that you're fighting. Like, it allows you to be vulnerable. And by definition, vulnerable allows you to be, vulnerability is open to moral attack, criticism, temptation, and being hurt or wounded. That's what being vulnerable is. And love allows you to be vulnerable. It allows you for those things to possibly be able to happen to you. Like, if you're not vulnerable, do you truly love? You know what I mean? Can you really say that and honestly say that? Love is unselfish, and it is very understanding of flaws. Very understanding. Anybody have anything to say? I'm just running my mouth. Oh, sent you a request. View, go live, adding. Let's see if this works. But yeah, so we can't try to sustain. Hey, Lily, welcome to the talk. Can I hear you? Oh,
okay.
There you are. I can hear you.
Y'all forgive me. I look like a bum because I'm not even trying to do all that. I can't be green eyes today.
So what do you feel about this topic of love and being in love and what love is?
So going off of what you said, as far as you can't love one person, you can't, and your love is different with who you love. So the way you love your kids is not the same way you would love your husband. The love is different.
That is true, but there's no limit to it. Like,
right.
If you were to say that you can only love one person or be in love with one person in your entire life, being in love and loving is different. We're going to get to being in love here in a minute, but when you love someone, you can love them and love them from a distance. You can love someone and not be with them anymore. You know what I mean? You can. So you can love one person and still love someone else. So a lot of people think that because you're in a relationship with one person that you can no longer love someone that you've been with. You can still love them. You may not be in love with them.
Or have love for them.
Or exactly. And a lot of people don't understand that that's not a possibility when it truly is. Because when you have family members, when you have children, when you have been in relationships and in new relationships, like, all of that takes love. And that love and that energy and that power doesn't always go away.
And you could choose to love someone. You could choose to look at the reason why y'all met, or the good times that just keeps you having a reason to have love for them, but knowing the difference that maybe you guys are better apart than together.
And that's fine, because that's definitely a possibility. Think about how many family members you may love, but you love them from far. Think about people that you've had to separate yourself from, friends that you love them, but you had to separate yourself from them, but you still love them. You know what I mean? It's okay to love people with distance, because everyone, again, like you said, sometimes you have to love them differently. But love is so powerful that it allows you to be able to do that.
Right.
Because it's that energy that just it won't go away. It doesn't just go when the wind blows it. You know what I mean? What was I about to say next? So we can't try to sustain certain feelings and interests, but we are not the judge of the things that have the power to stay. And I say that to say that we need to stop having expectations on what love is and just love. So many people have different expectations about what it is to love someone, that they're missing the moments and the opportunities to just be able to live in that energy, that moment, and just love freely. How do you feel about that one?
I agree. When you can't put a limit on anything, that's what I feel like. That's when the problems come in,
right?
Because you can't compare a love that you have for someone in a previous relationship or something to the one that you have now. When you
Right.
start putting limits on it, that's when problems come because, and I think people do it without even noticing. And you created something that could be simple to a toxic type of love.
Expectations. And
Right.
yeah, and that's where disappointments come. Disappointments come from expectations. And when you have certain expectations of love or what it means to love, and you don't get that, or it's not reciprocated in the way that you're providing it, then that's when the disappointments come and you don't feel that someone's loving you the way that you feel that they should because you have a certain expectation.
Like Keisha said last time, the love language is the way that you respond, the way you want to be loved is not the way that someone else. So physical
Yes.
touch, some people like to be touched and someone else
Yep.
will respond in their love language to you, but you're like, that's not what I like. I like gifts or I
Right.
like quality time, but they want to touch you all the time. And you like, please, octopus hands, like,
Right.
calm down. You know what I'm saying?
So you have to know, and then that's with kids, that's with family, that's with someone that you're intimate with. You have to know what it is they need in order to feel love. And you have to know that person. And if you know that person well enough to know, then it's gonna happen. You can figure it out. You just have to want to figure it out. If any of you have not read the book, definitely read it. It's the 5 love languages, and they also have it for children as well.
And they
Definitely
also have a test that you can do online.
Yes.
And you can figure out from
there is a love
top
test
to the bottom.
Yep. So I would suggest that. So now I'm going to go into love, or loving and being in love. So I have some bullet points here, and I want to see how you guys feel about it. So I have loving on one list, loving versus being in love. So when you love and you're loving someone, that goes into you. Those are loving someone are in your thoughts, and you can wish the best for someone because you love them, right? And you love you when you love someone, you do something you want to do things that makes them happy. You know what I mean? That's something that you do when you love someone. I bought the 5 languages. Good job, Tarika. It's really, they have it for spouses. For spouses, and they have it for children. Caring for them. When you love someone, you could care for them all day and forever. Love is an emotion, and sometimes that emotion of love comes with perks. Like with everything else, sometimes certain things come with perks, but there's levels to it, right? Just like with everything else. It's about owning how you feel. And I say that to say, because sometimes you can love someone, but you have to love them for a distance. Or sometimes you can love someone, but you got to let them go, right? But when you're in love with them now, the flip side is when it gets a little bit more intense, right? Love already is intense, but there's levels. And when you're in love with someone, that's like the highest level that you could possibly hit. Like, that's the threshold of the levels of love, okay? It's like an emotional high, right? It's like reaching a goal when you're yearning for time and wanting to get to know more and more and more about a person that you're with. That's when you know you're in love with someone.
You're all in.
You're all in. You want to build more of the relationship that you already have. You're reinforcing, key word, you're reinforcing what you already have once you're in love. I'm going to say that again. You're reinforcing what you already have once you're in love. Because you remember levels, you hit the love, and when you're in love, you want to keep the wheel going, right? With that reinforcement, because it doesn't get any higher than that level. And what goes up can definitely come down. You can fall in love with someone, but that can be dropped down to that next level. You can fall out of love with someone and still love them. But when you're in love with them and you're not constantly reinforcing, that can get dropped down to that level that it was at before. Now think about that for a second. Being in love is what our minds create with the feeling and emotions that we have for that person. Now again, being in love is what our minds create with the feelings and emotions, because love is a feeling and an emotion, but it's what we do with that that then deems when and if we're actually in love with them. But the reality of it, back to the love languages, may not always be your, what do I have written down here? Your version of love. And I say that to say this. My version of love may not be your version of love. So when we have expectations of what my version is and you're not meeting that version, that's when disappointment comes. So we have to realize what the love languages are, right? But then also use that and reinforce that those feelings and emotions that we have when we love someone to stay in love with them. Because think about how many people or relationships that you've been in and you were deeply in love. You know, come on. We have been in love when we've been yearning time, wanting more, wanting to get to know more. That's that ultimate high. But then when that goes away and you're no longer with them, you may have love for them. You may love them, but you're not in love with them anymore. And that can happen in your marriage. That can happen in your relationship if you're not reinforcing those things, those feelings, and those emotions. Because again, what goes up comes down, right? And that's that ultimate high in that level. But we don't always stay high, you know.
Right. And you definitely gotta understand.
I don't know. I can either confirm or deny that feeling.
You also gotta understand, along with the love languages and understanding what someone's love language is, you have to understand that some people might want to be in love, but they might not know what love is. People have different definitions of love or what they might have felt. Some people think that love, they were in love, but they were just in a strong lust. But nobody really.
So there, you know what I mean? There's a difference. I don't know if you guys on Facebook can hear that I'm on live with Lily right now on Instagram, but she explained that there's a difference between the love, as we talk about love and being in love, and the love languages. Some people don't understand what love is, and so they confuse love with lust sometimes. And lust is more or less a desire, not really a force that like love is. Like love is a force that has that certain energy and a certain power that cannot be measured, right? And lust comes and goes, but when people are in that feeling, they sometimes get it confused because they don't have a of what love is. Yeah, good point. All right, so what else we have? Everybody got a better understanding of love and being in love is? I know some people are just chiming in. Hey, Laura. What's up, Ray? What's up, G? So we talked about love. We talked about loving. We talked about being in love and the difference in the levels and the force of love and all of the things that come with that and how it cannot be sold. It cannot be traded. It cannot be an ultimatum, cannot be provided with that. Just like sex or courtship or any other things that you can use and buy or pay for, or, you know, give an ultimatum, say, well, you can't have this anymore if you do this or that, or you can't make any promises with love. Love does not cause you to force someone to make a promise. So we talk about all of those things to kind of give a better understanding of what love or loving someone actually is. And then we went into talking about that next level, that highest level, and that high of what being in love with someone is and can be. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys don't have anything else, stay tuned for the next Mo Talks. Appreciate y'all. Y'all can rewatch this on Instagram. It'll be up for the next 24 hours. On Facebook, there's a group page, Mo Talks on Facebook. So definitely appreciate you guys for tuning in. Lily, much love to you for tuning in. Appreciate you, girl. Thank you for having me. All right, y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. Later.